Shooters Connection offers products for competition shooters by competition shooters. With over 80 years of combined competition shooting experience, Shooters Connection is staffed by master and grandmaster shooters who live the shooting sports every day. We offer same-day shipping. Shooters Connection also sponsors over 100 of your matches every single year. So when it comes to finding everything you need to compete as a beginner or a seasoned grandmaster, Shooters Connection is the only name you need to know. Online at shootersconnectionstore.com.
What is up, YouTube? Oh, we have some people on YouTube. What's up, podcast land? This is the Hit Factor podcast. I know you guys have probably forgotten who we are because Jeff has not wanted to record for weeks on end. It's all Jeff's fault. It's always Jeff's fault. So send him hate messages. That's perfectly fine. But we are back. And by we, I mean Mr. Jeffrey Cawthon, Mr. Saul Potato Allen.
You have got to stop telling people Reid. My name incorrectly. You've got to stop. Like,
what are you talking about?
Stop. Someone addressed me the other day correctly, and you corrected them to say it incorrectly. It's
I like to do that with ROs when they say Cawthon, and they say no, it's Cawthorn, and then they're like, "Oh, sorry, Jeffrey Cawthon."
Yeah.
Yes, it's wonderful. I'm pretty sure that was Bob Crow that did that.
I know you do it.
Oh, did I? Well, I'm sorry, buddy. I'll fix that. I won't do that anymore. So this is a big week. It's probably I would say the biggest USPSA match of the year as far as depth of talent, especially who is coming in from overseas, in that it is Carry Optics Nationals is happening this week in Marengo, Ohio. Is that right? Am I saying it right? How many CO is CO only? How many CO shooters are there, Potato?
There are 5 empty slots, so if somebody wants to hop in, but there are 521 registrants right now.
Wow.
And full capacity would be
they're having a tough time. Yeah, they're having a tough time filling the match, so I don't know what's up with that. Maybe the increased match fees have hurt them. But
they opened up some slots. They released some sponsor slots back into the pool last week.
I got you. So, yeah, 500 shooters, including several international shooters. One, Eric Graffel, is going to be there. Potato, did you say Martin Kamenicek is going to be there as well?
Yeah, Martin Kamenicek squatted with Groffel, as is Groffel's son, as is John Edsolgino.
Okay. So, and what's those 4 just shot the Extreme Euro Open in the Czech Republic. And Graffel, look, he's an animal. We'll get into this as far as with predictions and stuff, but he was the highest pistol shooter at that match, shooting production optics. And remember, IPSC production optics is 15 rounds. So he's shooting against open shooters, shooting major, and they get basically like 27 rounds, I'm pretty sure, and they're slightly shorter than USPSA big sticks. So huge disadvantage, and he still was the highest finishing pistol shooter at that match. So pretty nuts. And Martin Kamenicek, you know, I've seen that name and I haven't really paid attention to his results, but holy cow, he shot a heck of a match at Extreme Euro Open. I mean, he was almost exactly 5% behind, 4.5% behind Eric, and I mean, he just shot an incredible match. There was no like big place where he just gave away a ton of points. It's just Eric kind of just edged him out just a little bit throughout the whole match, but man, he shot an incredible match. So he's going to be a problem for a lot of the American shooters, I have a feeling.
So he's shooting,
and he did win.
He's shooting nationals.
He is.
Yeah.
He is, and he won European Handgun Championship. He's in his mid-late 30s. He's been shooting in Europe for a long time. And
Okay.
And so if you look at sort of people who Edsel beat last year, a lot of them he beat by a few percent. And he came in third at the Extreme Euro that finished today. And he was back 5%. And a lot of the people he beat by 2 or 3% are back 7 or 8%. So it's like the whole field sort of moved a little bit. Which obviously is a little bit what happened with CO Nationals last year, when Nils shot a phenomenal match and came in second to Seiler, who won, and sort of shifted the entire field down by 2 or 3%.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm expecting it to be a great match. The field is really deep. So I mean, it's incredible. We're gonna get into predictions and that sort of stuff. I believe Leif is still serving as assistant MD. So I believe he's not.
He is not. MD. Todd Holmes, he relinquished that position a few months ago, and Todd Holmes, who runs the South Carolina section and the South Carolina section match, and is this year also the host for Area 6, working with Ben Barry. He's the assistant MD, and then they have two Yemenlin as the formal MD. Then they have a slightly different crew running stats and everything else. And Matt Hopkins orchestrated stages, and matchbooks are more or less meaningless. But if you do look at the matchbook, compare it to last year, the theme this year is really lots and lots of open targets and far steel, as opposed to lots and lots of hardcover partials and far steel, which is what I associate with Marengo matches at this point. There's a lot of open targets in this match, and they are all IPSC.
Interesting. Okay. That's going to be really interesting to see Matt's influence and how difficult the shooting is. So that's going to be. I hope there's enough difficulty where that gets tested a lot, but it's not just so crazy where it's just a bullseye match, which is what I felt like Ironsight Nationals was in Ohio last year.
I think that range has had a couple of matches like that. Ironsight Nationals looked worse than CO Nationals, but they were related. I do think what'll be interesting is if it's a match with a ton of open targets, what that actually means is that the shooters we have who are very consistent and who shoot 2 alphas on open targets will have an advantage. And so that is people like Seiler, and that's also people like Nils, people who shoot really clean and really tidy. And obviously that's Eric Groffel as well, right? People who shoot phenomenal points are really rewarded on a match with a lot of open targets.
Yeah, and if they do expand the distance out, if you're seeing a lot of open targets, but in the 15 to 25 yard range, then you really start seeing hit factor and points down. And because, I mean, the top 30 guys, 25 yards open target, almost all of them can rail as much as they want on those, but it's how many points are you willing to sacrifice to go that hard. And hit factor gets to be more of the decider rather than penalties, which could be really cool. Could be good. I'm looking forward to tracking results, and I would be remiss if I did not say that one Potato Allen is also competing at CO Nats, and I have high expectations for him. We're going to top our, weren't we like right at 50th last year? Potato? Lower? Oh no.
No, what were we last 71st
year?
Last year. I was at 71st. To put it in context, I was 2 behind John Browning. I was 1 behind Stephen Lutman. I was 3 behind Sean Kellegine. So, I mean, I was in a cohort of really good shooters, and you're still down at 70th because that's what a 500-person match looks like.
What was your percentage?
80.49%.
Okay, so you were still in the 80 percentile. Yeah, I mean, that's crazy.
Honestly, I shot a better match than the prior year, and I dropped 2% in 10 places. And that's just a reflection of all the people who were there.
Yeah, I'm expecting better things from you this year. I feel like you've been training hard.
The match as it looks will reward my current skill set.
Awesome. Yeah, that'd be great.
I shoot phenomenal points like old people.
There you go.
I look forward to seeing that. I want to see some rage. Obviously, we're going to be tracking Jay Beal very closely. Big time supporter of the podcast and often guest. New guest of the podcast, Jedediah, I'm really interested to see how he does. I can't remember if this is his second or third nationals, but it's his third nationals. So I'm really curious to see how he does now that he's starting to get more comfortable with it. I'm a little bit hesitant to talk about those guys, like our friends and their performances in the match, because I don't want to like put extra pressure on them or make them think extra things they're not thinking about. But that's what they get for being Jeff's friend. So Jeff's going to talk about them on the podcast.
That's what they get for being really good.
That'll be all right. Well,
and you got to throw in that same hat. Long-time member of the Discord, one of the Discord OGs, Matt Hempel, who is a late-breaking addition to the Super Squad. So he is on Super Squad A. And obviously he finished as high as 12th in 2021. And so he should be part of that conversation too. And
absolutely.
The Discord shout out.
Absolutely. So we're gonna do predictions. I would say we can probably go. Let's do top 5. Let's do top 5 because I think I'm going to get lost if we go top 10 and the field gets so deep that it's going to be kind of tough to do that. Let's do top 5. Let's do like who's going to be. There's always somebody that jumps up there in the top 10 or top 5 that's a little bit of a surprise, right? That's not your name that you see all the time. That's your big time professional sponsored shooter, however you want to say that. So who is that going to be? We can do kind of some prop bets on how low does what finishes 16th place, like what percentage do you have to shoot to make 16th, top 16, and how low does 80% get you? If you finish exactly 80%, what place does that get you?
Should be lower. I would imagine it's going to be lower than last year.
I would, except there's more better shooters, so it's...
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I think it'll be lower. I agree with Jeff. I think it'll be lower position. So we'll see. What else? Any other predictions that we want to make?
We should predict the gap between first and second.
Oh, okay. Okay, so let's talk about the elephant, or should we say the hippo?
How long have you been waiting to say that? I know you didn't just come up with that.
That actually, I just came up with that. I promise. No. That was it. Just it. I really was. I was saying elephant. I was like, I should have said
3 weeks
hippo.
ago, and this whole 3 weeks has been set up for that one.
He's got it on a sticky note sitting above his computer.
Come on, give me more. You gotta give me more credit than that. Okay, so Christian put out a podcast on. Well, he was interviewed on the PSTG podcast by Joel Park here. I don't know. Was that a week ago, 2 weeks ago, something like that? And Christian is feeling extremely confident, and he made some claims. And there's a lot of stuff about hippo energy. And look, I'm assuming everybody's gotten a lot of mileage out of that. I know that we have. We'll talk about Jeff's. We determined at Kentucky, which we'll talk about in the next podcast, that Jeff has a lot of fox squirrel energy. So that's kind of, it's a squirrel, but it's the biggest squirrel, right? And they got kind of cool ears. So that's just kind of the energy that Jeff.
Did you know they will eat baby rabbits?
Oh yeah.
They will eat anything. Like Jeff is voracious.
Yeah. They're savage. So I feel like that's kind of the energy that Jeff's bringing. But Christian brought up, he said hippo energy a lot of times, and he said that he is very dialed. I think we heard that a couple of times in how dialed in he is. So he's feeling extremely confident. And
it says it's live recording. Do you mean the broadcasting to YouTube isn't working? Because the Riverside is definitely recording.
Not on our end, but...
Not on our end. We hear you just fine. You interrupted him in the middle of a hippo diatribe. The whole big setup for Siler is feeling very dialed in and has made some bold claims. Did he say on Training Group Live 5% gap? Or 3%? I've heard other people attribute 3%, but I feel like I heard 5.
Oh, no. It was 5. Yeah.
So I'm not giving him that. I'm giving him 3. But anyway, carry on.
Technical difficulties. I have no idea if Jeff's going to edit any of this. And I don't really remember where I was, other than Christian made lots of claims to his hippo energy and how dialed he was at the moment. Mm-hmm. And so he's very much looking forward to it.
If you want a good drinking game, go listen to that podcast with Christian and Joel. And every time Christian says dialed, you take a shot. Okay? Which is better than the normal Joel drinking game of any time he says, be real, real talk, let me be real. Real talk.
Which could also cause alcohol poisoning.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Like, if you played that, like, you wouldn't make it to the end of the podcast. If you took a shot every time you said die.
Oh, gosh, no, you would die.
I challenge you to make it to survive to the end of the podcast. It's that good.
We don't actually, the Hip Factor podcast itself does not actually endorse that level of intoxicity. Maybe Jeff Cawthon, his personal endorsement goes to that, but not the Hip Factor podcast as an organization.
I heard that Jeff Cawthon will actually drive over to your house and give you activated charcoal if you do play the game.
Cawthorn's he's a nice guy. So yes, Christian's feeling very confident, which is good. He made a claim in that podcast that he expected to beat the field by 5%, and he full well acknowledging that Greffel is in the field, and that's a pretty.
Was that the claim? Was that the claim?
Yep. Yeah, he's going to win by 5%. And that his worst day his worst day will be anybody else on their best day, and so that's pretty pretty spicy take, pretty bold statements.
Well, I think the second one is training so that the worst day can win, not a claim about a current worst day.
Okay. I mean, I think that's a good.
And I mean that is like if you look at professional athletics, like that's like the classic thing, like the winning team, like the team that wins whatever the league competition is. Like the measure of the great teams is they can play poorly and win. Like they just find a way to get it done.
Yeah, they can, but not against other great teams. Like that's like against other great teams, they're not going to play poorly and still win. They do that against less good teams. So what do you guys, I mean, I would say from Christian, it was incredibly brash, and I wouldn't even call it borderline arrogant. I would just say it was just fully, almost shockingly arrogant. But some people will say, okay, like if you want to win, that's how you need to be thinking. If you're not thinking that way, if you're not thinking you're going to go there and win and beat everybody, then you're not going to win. So what do you, just from a mental standpoint, how do you guys feel about, like, should more people try to take that approach?
Okay, so Christian is a little bit of a different animal in that...
As in a hippo?
Yeah, he's a hippo. So he likes to say those things out loud, right? So I think a lot of people do take that approach. I would even say that I myself am very arrogant in my own mind, and I think it helps. I do think it helps. But I'm not going to come on here and say it. But the hippo is, and he's not scared to say it. So there's lots of things just different about how Christian approaches it and approaches this whole mind game. Because, I mean, he's playing mind games. And, yeah, there's lots of that stuff going on.
So, if you take a different approach, right? If you look at Groffel, what does Groffel post to his social media right before a big match? For like
usually
6 weeks
something
leading
ridiculous.
Up. He posts him doing things that the people who are going to compete with him probably suspect they can't do. Now, they also don't have the facility to try it and don't routinely run 90-round stages or shoot 100,000 rounds a year or have other people resetting swingers for them constantly, right? Like, it's just a different scale. It's a different order of magnitude. It's the level of dedication and the polish of the skill. But that's not an accident, right? Like, the rest of the year goes by and we don't, like, see a string of those videos. But when there's a competition coming up, it's like, So it's hard for me to hear what Seiler says and not think this is intentional, that this is designed to produce specific responses. And one of them might even be, when you listen to him, in his head, he's the underdog. And people are doubting him. And people are betting against him. And if you talk big like this, then people want to see you fail. And the more we want to see him fail, the more he can fuel himself on that sort of righteous indignation that there's all these doubters out here betting against him. So it's like we play into his hands. Every time we get like offended at the arrogance, we actually give him more fuel to go out and beat people. So I think if the world wants to defeat Christian Seiler, we need to praise him. And I'm just going to put that one out there.
Well, yeah, and like I don't not want Christian to win. I'm not betting. I don't want him to fail, right? Like I don't want to defeat him. We're just kind of looking at this stuff at face value.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to. How does the audience perceive? Like, how does this change his, like the public's view or image of him? And he may. This may be calculated. It may not be calculated. It may just be him, just finally just showing like who he is, in a public way. And so it will affect how people view him though, for sure. I don't see anything around that. I think a lot of people will take him less seriously.
I think being a really humble, conscientious, thoughtful person inhibits your performance.
Yeah, I mean, I think
maybe
if you're all that internally as well, then I would agree. Now, if all you show externally is being humble and stuff, I don't necessarily agree.
So you're saying that you need to be duplicitous and two-faced and mislead people about who you are.
Is all the things that you say to yourself internally? Yeah, well,
no, that's not. I don't think it's duplicitous at all.
All the stuff that you say to yourself internally to pump yourself up and build confidence, like, are you going to say all of those things externally? You might. I won't.
I mean, just think of just all the things that you think, if you're just having a conversation with people, all the things that you think in your head that don't actually make it to your lips, right? Like I don't think that's being duplicitous. There's a certain amount of respect that I think people have earned that have been the greatest shooters in the world for 3 decades. That you give respect.
Seiler repeatedly stressed how much he respects all of his competitors.
He did.
I mean, yeah, but the language. I mean, you can say that, but then if your language then completely surrounding that is disrespectful, I would say that then that's just kind of you're trying to sugarcoat it.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of.
If you say no disrespect, you can say whatever you want.
Right, right. Bless his heart kind of deal. It's like one of the guys I work with that says he says long story short all the time and then tells the long story. Like, I don't think you really understand what's going on here.
But to Potato's point of that you have to be that outwardly and stuff, I would say that we've had here recently the last of the three is almost looks like he's on the downstroke, but we've had the three greatest tennis players in the history of ever playing basically at the same time. Roger officially retired about a year ago. Nadal is basically done, and Novak Djokovic is like he's still ranked. He's down to 3 in the world right now, but his performances he's had quite a few losses. So who knows how long he's going to hang on. But you look at Roger Federer. I'll just speak to him because he's my sporting idol. You never heard anything but respect out of that, and I don't.
But if you listen to Djokovic, he sounds a lot like Siler.
No, he still doesn't. He's still. I mean, Djokovic is still. He's not Roger. He's not Swiss. He's not Roger, but he's still very, very respectful of Roger, of Nadal, of his other competitors, and
of those two, not of everyone.
I mean,
he has
not
had
totally.
Some pretty seriously sarcastic and snarky. Public.
Well,
anyway, I'm a big Djokovic fan.
Well, I hate Djokovic, so that's good. I mean, yeah, and to be fair with those guys, like they're mic'd up virtually 24/7. So yeah, there's gonna get comments that get out. Imagine if Jeff, we just got back from Kentucky. Imagine if all of our conversations were mic'd up between us and Brett and Bob, and if all of those got out. I assume people's opinions of me would change a lot, at least. Not Jeff, though. Jeff, he's the same no matter what. He doesn't ever change.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing duplicitous about him.
Yeah. I'll have to Google that word later. Let's get on to predictions.
All right, so that leads into predictions. Do you want to do top 5 first?
Yeah, and I think count down from 1, and I think be bold. And Jeremy, you go first. Just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go. Start with 5 and get to 1. None of this teasing. None of this edging. We're just starting on 1. Go.
I like the teasing. I like the teasing. Look, Eric's gonna win. I think he's gonna win by a pretty solid margin. And that may fuel Christian. Like he may be wanting to hear that, and that may be what fuels him. But I'm sorry, Eric has not lost in 3 decades, and Christian has lost in very recent memory. And so I just don't see it. I don't see it happening because I do think Christian is trying to play mind games. I think that absolutely one person that is not going to work on is Eric. So, yeah, I'll pick Eric as 1.
You got to go 1 to 5. Go. Come on, Jeremy.
2, 3, 4, 5.
All the way. I've got to go all the way through 5.
All the way to 5, goodness. and then we fight about it afterwards. But you just be bold.
I love it,
man. Look, Christian just beat Jacob at area 8. Was it 8? Jacob had some malfunction issues, so that match was way closer than I thought. Nils is Nils, so I expect big things in this match. I'll just say he hasn't been the most consistent person of late. Like he's won like IPSC Nationals in Arizona. What he did to win, he did some really impressive stages, but he had some big mistakes that he can't have especially against Eric if he wants to have a chance. Christian is Christian. I expect him to be super consistent, and he's got it. He's definitely has a high gear. Man, this is so tough as far as like my mind versus my heart and all that. If I'm going to be bold, Potato said be bold. Okay, let's go. I'm going to put Jacob second. These
are predictions, not a wish list. Predictions.
Okay. I'm predicting Jacob second.
Okay.
He lost Area 8, and I think he's hungry, and I think he has a gear that other guys don't have, to include Christian. So I expect big things out of Jacob. I'll go. Oh man, I'll go Christian third. I can hear Jeff's taking notes good, so he's got his clickety clackety going.
Yeah, I'm writing it down.
I'm going Martin Kamenicek fourth.
See, I'm gonna struggle with these because I don't know these other guys.
It actually spelled pretty much like it sounds.
I'm not talking about spelling. I don't know how they shoot.
Oh. And okay, we're getting spicy here. Nils, I love you, buddy. But I got to pick a flyer, and dude, Jay Beal's been crushing it.
Beal for fifth.
I'm putting Jay Beal in fifth. Is who I got.
Okay.
There's probably a dozen other people that I could put in that. Really the third through fifth. Well, really the first through fifth, the second through fifth spots. But I'll go with that. I'll go with that top five.
Okay. Potato.
I'm going Seiler in first, Groffel in second, Hetherington in third, Nils in fourth, and Edsel Gino in fifth. And I have a list of 30 names for the top 20, but we won't get into all of those. But I mean, there's some great shooters who I didn't mention, who I just don't necessarily see breaking through in this field. Next year, when we have a single nationals, this top five will look different.
Okay. Yeah. Wait, what was your 2, 3, 4?
2 is Groffel. 3 is Jacob Hetherington. 4 is Nils Jonasson.
Yeah.
5 is John Edsel Gino. Which means I'm leaving Jay Beal, JJ, Max, Garen Singleton, Brantley Merriam, John Vlieger, Trace Decker, Ben Eggleston, Mason Lane, and Martin Kamenicek out of the top 5. Although all of them have the skill, the capacity, and probably the drive to finish in the top 5. So if any of those names replace one of the ones I picked, it won't be a surprise or unearned.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna have an additional thing here that you don't have to do it in order, but we're gonna do Potato's top 20. Potato was not warned of this ahead of time, but Potato, you have to. You've got to narrow your top 30 down to 20. It's going to be Potato's top 20, and we're just going to see how many 1 through 20, how many of those you get.
Oh, that would be good. Let's see how many of the top 20 he can get right.
Yeah. Yep. And nobody else can do this as well as Potato can, so it's going to be Potato's 20.
We got a comment on YouTube here. It says, I thought Potato was his nickname, not his camera quality.
So there's a reason that's his nickname. That's great.
No, it's pretty serious internet interruptions right now. You're connecting with me via a hotspot.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
All right, Jeff.
All right, first, I am taking Eric. Second, I'm taking Christian. Third, I'm taking Nils third. And I don't know anything about Martin. I don't know anything about him. So fourth, I'm actually going to take Jay.
In fourth, okay.
Yeah. And then Jacob fifth.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I like it.
That's pretty spicy. I mean, everybody's got. I mean, I like that I thought all of our top 4s were going to be the same, and then I changed my top 4. I thought we were all basically just going to have Eric, Christian, Jacob, Nils in our top 4. Just that 4. That's what I would have thought going in. And Potato did, right? That was your top 4, correct? Wasn't it, Potato?
It's Christian, Eric, Jacob,
first.
Nils. Yeah.
But I just meant the names. Those are the people in it, not the order necessarily. Okay. I mean, Potato, you're picking the person who hasn't lost in 3 decades to lose. After he just
I think he wants to lose. I think he wants to lose, and I think Siler wants to win more.
So wait,
I think there is.
But you think that he's coming over here and bringing his son so he can lose?
So his son can see him get defeated?
Because he wants to
lose.
lose?
His son can see him get defeated and pick up the baton and carry it further. And so that his son has the vengeance, and his son was there when it happened. And it's, my name is Robin Groffel. You defeated my father. Prepare to die. Right?
That's a really good storyline. I like that. Yeah.
Robin is 16, maybe 15, 16.
I
mean, he's within 8 years. He's within 8 years of Siler's age.
Okay.
Yeah.
Groffel is 20 years older. Right? We're talking 44 and 24. Right? So I think he wants. I'm totally making this up, by the way. This is not based on any sort of analysis or math. This is just good storytelling. I really think Eric wants Robin to be at the match where he gets defeated. But I do think, absolutely, and Eric's talked about it in interviews, he wants to lose. But he's scared of losing because he doesn't know who he'll be once he loses. But he wants to because then the pressure will be off. And then he will travel around the world and find people to beat without being the favorite, in his mind. His vision, his retirement from world domination is to hunt down people and beat them on their home turf.
But I mean, I think if he's interested at all in getting beat, he does want it to be as hard as humanly possible. So I'm guessing he's training as hard now as he has ever trained, and I think he's probably in better physical shape than he was 10 years ago. So I mean, I hear what you're saying.
I think he's probably the most proficient shooter at the match. I just don't think he's going to win. I mean, I don't think the best shooter wins.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's interesting. I think it's interesting, right? But I can't see that as a prediction. Like to bet against someone who hasn't lost in 20 years, who's in some of the best shape they've ever been, who still has the greatest capacity for training of anybody and resources for training. I can't bet against Eric in this situation. If there was, I just don't see anything, any one thing that's oh, well, because of this, he might lose. Everything is still stacked for him.
Well, I don't think everything in the match plays to things that Eric can do that other people can't do. And this is also something that Eric has talked about at length in interviews, is that when he looks at the stage and he thinks about who else is shooting it and what they can do, and then he tries to apply himself at the stages where he can do things that other people can't. Right? So he tries to make sort of distance in the places where... So he picks up a swinger in one pass that most people can't. Things like this. This match is not going to have a lot of that. The way this match is really designed is it's really sort of old school, open field. It's a lot of open field courses with a lot of open targets.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's not going to be craft so much as hit factor. And I don't know if he'll take enough risks. I honestly think he could end up with a lead early in the match and then think he can sit on it and other people will swing and miss, except for they won't swing and miss. In the order of the stages they're shooting, the zones they're shooting, the match gets more and more open. So their day 3 is really set up to be like a drag race. And so, I don't know.
It's too bad that Eric can't really go fast.
I think that is like, I would think that about someone with less match IQ, like myself. Like, that's something I would do, right? I would like get a lead and then lose it because I don't have good match management, match IQ. That's not something I see Eric doing.
Right, but you can't control the other shooters. And so how much is enough when you're not shooting on their squad? When you're not shooting on their squad.
They need the squad in front of them?
No. They're squad 6 and squad 1. Yeah. Yeah, so it is the squad in front of them inside the zone.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only way Eric loses is if he has a deficit after like a day and a half, because that would be a very unfamiliar position for him. I don't recall a match where he's ever been behind a third of the way or halfway through a match before, and so then he would feel like, hey, I need to press to get ahead. I think if he has a lead, I think it's done. Pretty much.
Also, 4 of the 5 people I picked are all shooting CZs, and so that's another factor. Is CZs have a habit of breaking key parts at random intervals. It's not like your slide stop shatters when it shatters. It can shatter on 200 rounds or 50,000 rounds. You can pop a new one in there for a match, and it can still shatter.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Mechanic for the win.
I don't know why anybody shoots them.
I will say this about, I did see a slight window, a slight crack in Eric's armor at the Extreme Euro Open that just finished up. Potato will probably correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he won 16 of 30 stages. And then 13 other stages he was over 90% on. I think it was like almost all of them were 92 and above. I'd be interested to see how many were over 97%. But he did have a single stage where he finished at 82%. So if somebody can come and they can shoot the match and they can shoot 30 stages and never finish below in the 80 percentile, then there's a crack there. They can come get them.
Get them.
This does go back to the point I've been making on y'all's podcast for a couple of years now, that the idea that being really consistent is enough to win a big match isn't true when the people you're competing with win stages, because they take away points. They depress your point total.
Yeah.
Right? It's not 90% of a random winner. If you shoot 90% on every stage and 16 of them are won by the same guy, you have a big point deficit.
Yeah. True.
Yep. Yeah, this isn't production of 10 years ago when Ben was winning all of them. It's not. It's a bit of a different game.
I mean, I've looked at even at the match we'll talk about in the next podcast, Kentucky. It's like I looked at the carry optics. It's like 5 shooters were over 90%. Only one of them got to win.
Yeah. Let's see our other predictions. Spread between first and second. Potatoes. You picked Christian first, Eric second. How close is that going to be?
2.5%, but we'll round it to 3.
Oh, wow. So you're picking Christian to win by 3%. That's
by 2.5%.
That's hippo talk. That's hippo talk right there.
It's big hippo energy, man.
Jeff, you got Christian. You got Eric over Christian. You have Christian in second. What's your percentage?
I think it's inside 2%. I think closer to 1%.
Okay.
I think it'll be a close match. I think it'll be a 99 something second place.
Man, I kind of have 2 choices on where I want to go with this. 4%. That's what I'm going.
4%.
4%.
You wanted to say 5%.
Match points. Yeah, you did want to say 5% or more. That's
no,
88 match points.
I was torn between like 1.5%, and 4%. But I think it's going to be 4%. I think Eric's going to have a lead with coming into the last day. He's going to have a pretty solid lead, and people are going to start trying to throw haymakers, and he can absorb those. And they're going to make mistakes. So they may not be big mistakes. It may be just more Charlies than expected. But even them trying to throw haymakers, he'll still be able to keep up speed wise.
Yeah. So if you look at Seiler's trajectory last year, and I know Groffel wasn't in the match, but if you look at his trajectory, I think he finished day one down 40 points or something. And he finished level on points on day two with Nils, and then he won by 60 points. And Nils didn't have a bad day three. So I think people don't give Seiler enough credit for also having a gear he doesn't use most of the time. But I do think he has it. I don't think it's as well honed as other people when we talk about them having a hidden gear. Because I just don't think it comes up as much. But I do think it's there. And I think the stages on day three are made for that. They're made for people taking a lot of efficiency risks and getting paid off.
I think if Christian ends day one in the lead, he'll lose. And I think if he ends day one at a pretty good deficit, he'll finish a lot better. I'm still not picking him to win, but I think he'll finish a lot better if he ends day one.
You're predicting him to lose no matter what.
Yeah.
But it's just you think he'll do better if
he ends day one in a deficit, then I think he'll finish the match better.
Yeah, I can see that.
He seems to like to dig. He likes to dig his way out of a hole.
Yeah. So we got to talk about him because we like him. Jeff picked Jay Beal in 4th. I picked him in 5th. Man, I thought I was going to be Jay's friend after this. I guess Jeff's trying to be his friend. Potato, where's your buddy? Where's your buddy finishing?
I honestly have no idea. So it's too noisy. I think Jay, the long arc of Jay's shooting, if he keeps at it, is he'll be winning nationals. That's just kind of who he is. He has the work ethic, he has the drive, and increasingly he has the resources. But if he's not going to win, I don't see him placing second or third much. I think he'll have to get to a spot where he can win these matches. And so I have him in that kind of muddle in my head of 5 to 15, where I really have no idea where any of these people are going to place because all of them. It's a little bit actually how things finished last year. I think you had 6 people within 1% between 93 and 94%. Yeah. And so, yes, they do have a rank order, but from a math perspective, call a Charlie an Alpha or an Alpha a Charlie, they all shot the same match.
Right. Yeah. So what position is he finishing?
So I'm going to say between 5 and 15.
You have to pick one.
With a bias towards 5.
Well, you can't pick 5 because you did. So he's 6.
No, it's after 5. Yeah.
Right.
I'm sorry.
You're picking J Beal for 6.
6 to 15 inclusive.
4, 5, and 6 is where we expect J Beal to finish. That'd be
all right,
great.
So
I didn't say 6. I said a bias towards there. I did not say 6. I'm sorry, Jay. Don't listen to this.
All right. So rate these placings on a 1 to 100% scale here. What percentage of the possibility that he finishes 6th place?
Me?
Yeah.
Say that? Well, does it have to sum to 100%? Because that's normally how a percentage would work.
No, it doesn't. No, you're just
it doesn't make.
We're doing a bell
odds.
curve. We're doing a bell curve.
Yeah, so okay? I would say 6th to 9th is where I see it. In that cluster.
That's what I was looking for. All right, so
7, 8,
7.5 place.
Yeah,
7.5 place exactly. 7.5.
There we go. Where's Jedediah gonna do this year?
Also, don't listen to this Jedediah. I don't think this is the year he's going to get into the top 20.
What was he last year? I forgot.
Last year was not a great year for him. I think it was disappointing for him. I think it was 86, 87%.
Okay. I mean, it's still solid. I think
that's very solid.
What did you say this year?
We haven't chosen. I honestly I think he'll, because of Eric. I'm gonna say he's still gonna be in the 80 percentiles, but I'll say he'll get up to 88, 89%, which is I think that would be a several percent increase over last year because of the Eric factor.
Because of Siler.
Incorrect, but yes. Yeah, so I think so, and that would be fantastic finish. I know it would not surprise me if he finished way higher. I know that he's mentally expecting that. It's tough to talk about your friend. So hopefully he doesn't listen, but I know he will. But we talk because he's really good. He's got a really bright future.
So what did you say? Just 88th to 89th%? Is that what you said?
Yeah, 88 to 89.
But won't that be 20th place in your sort of mathing of things?
Oh, we haven't done our percentage for 16th place yet. Yeah, I'm not sure I don't know where that would totally put him. I think that'd probably put him top 25 if he was in the 88 to 89%, which at this match would be really good.
Again, that's third at a normal match. It really is. I know that sounds insulting, but it is. You could be 22nd at this match, and that would be third or fourth place at any other nationals.
No, I mean, we've talked about it in the past, but yeah, really, you kind of have a down stage, and you just drop 7, 8, at least 7 or 8 spots, maybe more than that, depending on how bad.
Versus in a lighter field, you have a bad stage and you lose a place.
Correct. Yeah. Top 16. What percentage do we need to hit to get top 16? I feel Potato's gonna have the most informed opinion, but
I don't know how the foreigners are gonna affect this. I really don't, and how they're gonna push up my boy Siler. I think it's right around 90%.
Yeah.
Which is not that different than past years, but I just think there's
I'm gonna say 89% is 16th.
Yeah, I was gonna say 88.
Yeah, I mean that sounds right too.
I'll go 89. If Eric wasn't there, yeah, I'd be at 92 is what I would be if Eric sans Eric.
What did you say? 89?
89, yeah. It's going to be real interesting. We see more and more and more about it now because Tiger's getting older, but just the Tiger effect, and just when he showed up to a match, how his legacy of winning and stuff crippled other players. The field, the field score to par, how much worse it got when they were playing against him was really kind of interesting. How much he just messed with people. And I'm curious what Eric coming over, what that's going to do to other people. Because a lot of people, even though they've shot at a same match as Eric, it's always been at a world shoot where most people are in other divisions, right? The top talent's all kind of spread out in other divisions. And you just haven't seen this many people from the U.S. competing against him like this. Nils competed against him in standard in 2017 in France. Both of them are a little bit different shooter, I would say, at this point. And, I don't think we've seen Siler compete against him. I don't know that we've seen maybe Jacob. Did he go over to Extreme Handgun or European Handgun Championship last year?
He did not. Edens did, but Jacob did not.
Okay, so we just haven't seen how they can handle competing against somebody like that is he is the guy. He is the guy to go after. He's the accepted greatest shooter in the world. And so that's going to be fascinating to see if they feel more pressure and if their performance if they rise up to it.
But he will lose. Like at some point, age comes for us all. At some point, he will lose, and it might be next week, right? Like this has to happen.
You know, I mean, it could be, but you know, the thing that I like there are guys like, oh, I train super hard and I do all this. Like I have a job, but I train super hard. It's like, man, like good luck then. Like, I'm sorry, but like if you think you're putting a ton into this and you're dry firing a couple times a week and you're getting the range once or twice a week and maybe shooting 20 to 30,000 rounds a year, which would be a lot. Like, I'm sorry, but you're not putting that much effort into the sport. Not comparatively.
Oh, and I mean, the guys who are dry firing an hour a day and going to the range 4 times a week, they're not putting in what Eric has historically put in preparation of it, right? I mean, we're talking like all, you know, I probably said this on here before, but the soccer player Erling Haaland, it's like, what does his day look like? Is he does physical training for like 2 hours a day, and then he trains like soccer specific skills for 2 hours a day, and then he eats and he sleeps. Like, that's, and how is he the world's best forward? It's because he does 2 hours of physical training and 2 hours of skill-based training a day, and he eats and sleeps. He's like 4,500 calories a day and sleeps, right? Like, that's how you get that level of skill. If you did that shooting, like if that was your life for a couple of years, then you could say like you're training like a professional athlete. Right. But if you're getting 35,000 rounds and, you know, an hour a day of dry fire, like you're just not doing what top athletes are doing.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
and
not
if
even
you've
close.
have you seen the video of Eric talking about that? Like how much he shoots leading up to a match?
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. Like the week leading up to a match, he shoots about double what I shoot annually the week leading into a match. He's shooting 2,500 rounds a day leading into a match, the week leading into a match. So he's close to that level, right? Of that professionalism, the time put in. And it's just hard to see that being beat. If he does, like if he gets beat, that's going to be incredible, like incredible on whoever beats him's accomplishments. Because like if Christian does it, Christian works a full-time job and he trains and does all that. So if he's able to come in and beat Eric doing that, whereas it is Eric's full-time job to be incredible and train others to be incredible, it's going to be an awesome story.
Yeah.
This is a really narrow anecdote, but I think it's relevant. I was at a state match 2 weeks ago as staff, and so I was working the stage. And the presumptive winner, who did indeed win, had already shot the stage. And so other people would cut to the stage, and that was their first question, is what did so-and-so do in it? Now, because I was working the stage, I watched her, and I ran him with the timer, and he made a couple of really big mistakes. Like, really big mistakes. It probably cost him 1 1/3 seconds in total. So these other, also really good shooters, heard his number, and then mentally, they figured out a way to match that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Mm.
They didn't figure out how to beat him. And I think this is the sort of Tiger or Eric effect that people have, is they, like, if they walk onto the stage and they see the score, they don't look at the stage as, like, how do I win? They're like, oh, Eric did it in 12 seconds down 2 Charlies. And they try and come up with a plan to do it in 12 seconds down 2 Charlies. But if they had been there, they might have seen that Eric tripped on the fault line, right? And, like, missed a position and, like, over-transitioned, on a couple of partial targets and had to re-aim, right? So if you had seen that, you'd know, like, where the sort of gaps are. But if you just sort of see the score, you're assuming, well, this is the best that can be done. So how can I get there? Anyway, I think top performers create that effect. Is other people look at their scores and they try and mentally, like, equal it. They're not going out there trying to beat it.
Yeah, there's
versus when your buddy's shooting, like, you're trying to beat them, right? Like, if Jeff runs it, I mean, I know you're not looking at scores like this currently, Jeremy. But if you knew, like, Jeff shot on a different day, it's like, oh, he did this in 12 seconds. You'd be like, I can do it in
Oh yeah, easy.
Easy.
But if you see Eric did it in 12, you're like, okay, how can I get to 12 here?
Right. No, then I assume I'll be 14. If I see Eric did it in 12, it's like, oh yeah, 14 will be a good score.
14 seems all right.
Yeah.
Another example was when Usain Bolt was running, right?
Yeah.
Like he brought the whole field up, right, to his level. There's not a field that's run that fast since he quit.
Mm-hmm.
And like the fastest runners today aren't running that fast. Like the fastest runner today would be like 3rd or 4th place that year, right? Because he brought the whole field up with him. It's crazy. Psychological stuff.
Yeah, it's something about seeing somebody do something. We're gonna talk about that in the Kentucky, the bluegrass episode coming up. We got some good stuff. So be watching scores. If you're on the Discord, I'm gonna be trying to track them. I do not possess Potato's level of tracking skills, and I will have to be working and have kids this weekend. So, but on the Discord, we will be trying to track and update that stuff. I think it would be really fun if Jeff and I could, like, if we could have had the money or like somehow been paid to go to this match and just follow, like do actual live coverage as competitors that understand the sport. Maybe that sounds too arrogant, but as competitors who understand the sport, to go and talk about and like video and show what's going on and kind of have an updated scoreboard as we bring in scores and stuff.
Yeah.
Man, I think that would be a ton of fun.
You know what would be hilarious is if we had like a ESPN like broadcasting booth on a trailer and just like kept it behind the Super Squad.
That would be incredible. If they would, if we could talk Hunter's HD Gold, like, hey, can we use your van but as a mobile broadcasting van to track the Super Squads? And yeah, that would be awesome.
That'd be hilarious.
That would be so
I
much
do
fun.
think the commentary you could provide would be so much more interesting. Again, not to denigrate other people who tried to do similar things, but it would be more interesting because you have a much more intimate understanding of sort of what's at stake within the stage and what the numbers really sort of mean.
Yeah, it would be. I think it could elevate the sport, like in a viewership, like an online viewership, YouTube viewership type thing that people would you could have a live stream that obviously just goes all day, and then have it, if you had somebody who could do it, go at the end of the day and cut out between runs and really just kind of show people between runs. I think it could be really, really cool. But not this year. Not this year, not now.
We did have a couple of shout outs from the Discord. We had a shout out here about Mr. J. Headland from our Discord friend, Cowboy Friend. Shout out to J. Headland Shooting for all the positive influence and impact you've had on everyone, the talent you bring, inspiration you provide, and the general good time you bring to each match will be greatly missed. And I'm sure I speak for everyone when I say we can't wait to have you back home. And then the next shout out is from Jay Headland. Shout out to the KC area peeps. I'll be heading your way for the year next week. So
man, that's heartfelt.
I know, right?
It's good stuff.
Man, Mill Creek just got a lot better.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Also, shout out to Shooters Connection. They have all your shooting supplies. They do sponsor this show, which is fantastic. And their shipping is unmatched in the industry as far as I can tell. And yeah, they've got an incredible supply of things. So if you need anything shooting related, use the link in our description and go to Shooters Connection and get what you need, and it'll get there quick. So probably even if you're going to Carry Optics Nationals and you need something, there's a chance if you overnighted it, they would get it out fast enough. You probably get it before you left to go to CO Nats.
Oh, so, if you ordered it this weekend, not when you hear this. When you hear this, it will be too late.
Yeah.
If you ordered it this weekend when we recorded it, guaranteed you'd have them plenty of time.
Yep.
Yeah, I think so. And I am fueled this evening by some some orange hard Mountain Dew. Hard Mountain Dew.
Well, it is Pride Month, Jeff, so that's good for you.
It's 0 sugar. Gotta have my aspartame.
Is that like Four Loko for the discerning Oklahoman?
Yes, it is.
All right. Well, it's time to break it like a biscuit.
Break it like a biscuit. You need to make a jingle for that, Jeremy.